Hello everyone, it's Caleb here today coming at you with another set of Roll20 tips for your DM experience. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about like easy ways to do a day and night cycle in your games. So the first thing that probably comes to people's mind is if you wanted to show a map that had a difference between what it looks like to the characters during the day as what it looks like during the night. First thing that comes to mind is usually dynamic lighting. And dynamic lighting is a great way to do things. In case you're unfamiliar with dynamic lighting, it's a feature that is available to, I believe, Plus and Pro users in Roll20. At least the DM has to have it. The players don't necessarily have to have it. But when you enable dynamic lighting, what it does is it makes everything dark. And so this is from the GM's point of view, but the player's point of view would be that's what they would see. They would only be able to see what is in their light source at the time, and you can set it for dim light and direct light. So that's one way of doing dynamic lighting. But again, the problem with dynamic lighting is that, again, you have to, the GM has to have a Pro or Plus membership, which through Roll20, or the other problem with it is that it sometimes requires setup, because if you wanted to do dynamic lighting properly, you would have to go, the GM has to go into dynamic lighting, and they need to set up wall blockages and things, because, for example, if you were in the middle of the night, you may not be able to see through this wall here. And so what you would have to do is you would have to go in and put in these lines so that the players don't necessarily see. Now, dynamic lighting is great for dungeons and stuff, but if you're trying to get your point across, especially like if you're in a forest environment, depending on how detailed you want to go, you may want to even like block off trees to represent trunks and things like that. And so now what the player sees is, and by the way I'm doing that is I just click on the token and I hit Control L, and that's how you can see what the player can see is the dynamic lighting. And so now they can walk around with their light source, and the different trees are blocked out, this wall is blocked out, all that. Now that's a great way of doing things. But if you're just quickly trying to get things done, and you're like on a random encounter map, or they're just randomly camping or something like that, you may not have time to set up dynamic lighting, or you may not have access to it. And so what are some other ways that a DM can sort of graphically represent different light styles? And I'm just turning that off here. So one way for a GM, and I'm going to actually just go to a new map here. One way for a GM to do it really depends on the kind of map. Now, if you're using just a stock map without a lot of movable features, this is a map pack that I bought from Gabriel Pickard off the website, off the Roll20 website, and I highly recommend him. He makes beautiful maps. So here's just the same thing, same map again. And a real kind of quick and dirty way to do it would be to basically make two copies of this map, okay? And then you've got one on top of the other. And for the one that's going to go on the bottom, what you need to do is this little gear symbol. You'll see this if things are on the objects and tokens layer, you'll see this little gear symbol. And what you can do is you can tint the entire color of the map. I often use this with objects when I'm trying to portray shading, or like if they're dirty or something like that. But what you can do is you can tint the entire map black. And so there, that's black. We'll put that on we'll make sure that we put that behind. And then all we do now is we move these to the map layers. And so now you've got your maps, and now you've got your players that are on the board, they're on the map, and they decide to camp here during the night. And if you wanted to make it a nighttime scene, sort of a way to visually represent it without dynamic lighting would just be you go to the map and background, you click on this, and then without there being a lot of interruption to your game, all you got to do is just move that to the back. And the other map that you had pre-set up ahead of time that was darkened is already there. So that is one way to do that. But Caleb, you say, what if I use a map that's got a lot of moving parts and it's not just one big static thing? I mean, let's say you've got a bunch of different, bushes on the map, things like that. You added a lot of different sort of individual elements to the map. Well, there's another way that you can do, and we just use that same feature that I showed you earlier, but we just use it on a smaller scale. So now, let's say you've got one individual map with a lot of moving parts. Well, you can still portray a night cycle very easily. All you've got to do is just find one of your moving parts, one of your objects, so like this little bush here that I had, and all you have to do is edit that token. You need to go to advanced. Now here's the important thing, is you have to put has sight and all players see light, and you have to have the players especially have permissions to see the aura bars here, okay? And so what you're going to do is in the aura bar, you're going to make that black, and then you're just going to do something so that it will completely engulf the map. And so you've saved that, and boom, now all of a sudden the screen becomes dark and becomes a night cycle. And if you really wanted to get picky, you could probably even tint that black so it matches everything else. But that's how you would easily be able to do a night cycle. So you just got to take one token, create a black aura over everything, and then when it becomes daytime, all you got to do is delete all that out of there, hit save, and boom, now it's daytime cycle again. So those are just a couple of quick and easy tricks that maybe you haven't really thought of in Roll20, but it's an easy way to portray the difference between, hey, we're adventuring out in the day, hey, we're camping at night. It just provides a little bit more thematic element to things rather than just saying, hey, you're camping on this brightly lit map and all of a sudden orcs come out and ambush you. It presents a lot different tone if even if you just do something simple and your players go, ooh, it's the map got darker. Well, yeah, that's because it's night. So hopefully you have found these tips helpful, and I'll hopefully be posting some more of these, but that is an easy day-night cycle, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.